Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, SB 656 is an effort to evolve JRS 2, the retirement program for Superior Court judges, to a more equitable and reasonable position. It is currently a crude hybrid of a defined contribution plan and a defined benefit plan. If you meet the career longevity goals, a judge receives a DB, the DB benefits. If not, it's a DC where he or she gets all of their contributions plus interest. If a judge dies, has health issues, or incurs a career-deterring incident before age 65, the annual contributions plus interest are returned and does not benefit from the yields that a diversified portfolio would achieve. SB 656 provides a simple remedy, but even with this minor tweak, the janitor will still have a better defined benefit pension plan than a Superior Court judge. This small modification will create an immediate unfunded liability, according to the actuaries. When I started this bill last year, the early CalPERS estimate was in excess of $130 million. During 2017, we requested the judges to obtain an independent actuarial report, and it was done by John Bartel. He calculated in the vicinity of $25 million. Last week, CalPERS published a revised liability of $21 million. So we're getting a little better as we go. Many judges don't retire. They love to work, so that there's still some debate on how you make certain assumptions. There are three ways that this new debt can be addressed. The first is to ask Governor Brown to add $21 million in his May revise. Unfortunately, Governor Brown has sort of not been kind to the judiciary branch, so I don't know what the underlying tone is, but I don't know if he would do that. But although it would be a nice gesture for him, and California's nearly 1,700 judges in the JRS2 system on the governor's way out. The second is to work with this category of critical professionals to determine what they need to contribute above their 8% withholding to address the delta. In order to do this, SR 656 must move forward and be amended in an amicable manner to achieve a mutually beneficial result. The third is for the actuaries to put more weight on the fact that a good number of judges work long past age 65 because they love their jobs. They will continue paying in. Hence, the conclusion of the staff report is pretty spot on. So the good news, JRS2 has been fully funded since its inception in 1994. No judge will draw a dollar more or sooner. We can remove disincentives for those considering an appointment to the bench, especially if they are younger than age 45. And this solution allows judges to work 20 years and defer the defined benefit until they become 65 years old. This alternative beats receiving no defined benefit pension at all, and is a downside, which is the downside of this crude hybrid. It provides a humane remedy to judges facing serious health issues prior to age 65, and younger professionals will be more interested to be serving in this critical role in our society. Mr. Chair, I urge and I vote for this critical initiative so that the process can continue. SB 656 has widespread support within the judiciary, including Judge Lance Ito, who testified on the bill's behalf last week. So I encourage and I vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Witnesses in support. Yes, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Kent Hamlin. I'm a judge in the Superior Court of Fresno County. I've had the privilege of serving in that role for 19 years. We understand that we can't make a radical revision to our plan. By way of background, I'm sure you know this, the judicial retirement system was completely unfunded until JRS 2 was adopted November 9th, effective November 9th of 1994 for judges appointed or elected after that date. Rather than address that unfunded liability, previous legislature just made the determination to go forward and create an actuarially sound program for future judges, and that's what this program is. It has been fully funded since its inception. As recently as a couple of years ago, it was 102% funded. And it's now fallen to 92, largely because CalPERS has recalculated what they think they can make on investment returns. This system has remained funded, and we as judges have no interest in doing anything to this system that would damage that. We're counting on this system to pay our benefits. While the legislature is going to have to find ways to fund unfunded benefits for CalPERS and CalSTRS and others, this plan is funded. So we don't want to do anything that's going to damage the fiscal integrity of this plan. We are committed to making any changes that we need to make in order to make this revenue neutral if that's what's required. And Senator, nobody is more aware of the concerns about unfunded public liabilities than our author, Senator Moorlach. This is a problem that California faces throughout its retirement systems. This system was created to provide an incentive for judges, experienced judges, to stay on the bench. The problem is that it keeps those judges who can't safely serve and fairly serve on the bench simply to earn a retirement. We have a number of terrible stories of people, a judge in Tulare County who was diagnosed with metastatic cancer when he was 69. He had to spend his last year on the bench dying of cancer in order to secure a survivor benefit for his wife. He died 40 days after he reached his 70th birthday. Now that's just cruel, and there's no reason for it. There's no public policy reason for forcing judges in the face of personal health issues or family issues to stay on the bench or face financial ruin. A judge who's forced to take back his monetary credits loses a survivor benefit and takes less than half of what that judge would receive if the judge made it to the finish line. If a judge leaves a day before age 65 with 20 years, or a day before age 70 with less than 20 years, that judge gets back those monetary credits. It would not provide security for that judge. If that judge has an ill family member or someone who close to him needs attention, and that judge is forced to stay in their job and not provide that attention and care because they face financial ruin if they don't, that's not a suitable system. There's no good public policy reason for that. This bill, we will work with CalPERS. If we need to take a reduced benefit, that's what it takes to get this thing to revenue neutral. Senator Moorlach's committed to doing it. I'm going to ask you to pass it through the suspense file on Thursday with that promise. This bill's not going to impact the taxpayers. It's going to provide a limited exception to the harsh reality of JRS 2, which is that if a judge doesn't make it to the finish line, age 65 or 70, depending on years of credit, that judge loses more than half of their retirement. That's a very unfortunate situation which this legislature has an opportunity to cure, and we look forward to your help.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
Using CalPERS' estimate of $21 million, the bill's annual fiscal impact to the state is $7 million general fund.
Thank you. Before we go to questions and comments, I have a question for you, Judge. In this current scenario, what is the current process for, say, a judge that falls ill and has to then come back to the bench for a limited number of days and then has to, recluse themselves for a whole other number of days to tend to their illness till they get to 65? Is that an issue that you're seeing happening as well, where judges are coming in for 2-3 days and then leaving?
Well, I haven't talked with the other judges in Tulare County, for instance, where Judge Boardman spent his last year dying on the bench. But I know it had an impact on his service to the court and his colleagues. I know it had an impact on the public. I know that judges are faced with that situation. Andy Banks, a judge down in Orange County, had reached his 20 years, but not age 65. His wife was plagued with Alzheimer's. He wanted to spend the time with her while she still had a quality of life, but he had to drag himself into the job every day until he reached 65 in order to get that defined benefit to protect her in the event that she's in care for years and years and to give him financial security. That's the kind of situation we're facing. So, I can give you a number of particulars. I know that a judge who's simply not able to do the job at all is faced with the prospect of a disability retirement. And for instance, Judge Steve Perks in Orange County, he was diagnosed with cancer, told he had a year to live, and he was about 3 years short of his retirement date. He had the paperwork completed to file for disability. He left that with someone to file, and it was a day-to-day thing. If I don't make it to the finish line, you need to file that. And ultimately, he made it to the finish line and got his benefit. But what's gained by that? If a judge, for instance, Judge Fortman in Tulare County, if when he was diagnosed, he would be allowed to take a deferred retirement as under this bill, he would have taken a year's less service credit at the same date, age 70, and he would have just had the security of knowing his wife was protected. That doesn't cost. And if it costs anything, we're ready to make it cost nothing. But there has to be a change to address this problem because more and more judges now, appointed or elected after November 9 of 1994, are reaching that age where the finish line is in sight, but due to health reasons or family reasons, we may not make it. And that's the kind of cruel result that this bill imposes. And no one intended that, and certainly none of us saw that when we signed on to this bill. But I think the harsh reality is we can fix that rather easily with this minor change. There's lots we'd love to do. We'd love to get out earlier. We'd love to have fewer, higher payouts and get out with fewer years of service. Sure, of course, everybody would. We know in this environment that's not realistic. What we're asking for is just the opportunity to leave the job, not receive a salary, pay for our own health benefits plus an administrative cost while we do that, and receive the benefit we would have received had we gotten to the retirement date, perhaps a lesser benefit based on fewer years of service. That just makes so much sense. It's hard to believe that we have to discuss it, but I appreciate, while there's a price tag, it's a concern. And we can do what we need to do in order to make that price tag go away.
Thank you. Thank you for making the important point of how important defined benefits are in our work. Senator Moorlach, I want to thank you for your work on this issue. I know it wasn't your intention to pit janitors against judges, but just to let you know, janitors do a very hard work. I actually spent an evening with the janitor cleaning a downtown food common area. And let me tell you, that's very hard work, and they deserve good benefits as well. But I know it wasn't your intent. I just want to clarify. It's very hardworking men and women who are janitors in our state and deserve good retirements as well. Members, are there any additional questions for Senator Moorlach? Seeing none, Senator Moorlach, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the point. I work late enough in the evening that I'm on a first-name basis with my janitors. I meant no malice at all. When you sit on a defined benefit pension board, you do an experience study every 3 years to see if your assumptions are accurate. Is longevity, all the issues that affect the assumptions. And so now we've had time since 1994 to look at this pension plan, and it is lacking. It is kind of surprising that we are treating the third branch of government with this type of plan. So as I said in my opening remarks, this is an evolution. We're trying to evolve to make this a more fair plan, and I think we can do it cost neutral, working with all parties, and I encourage your support and look forward to Thursday's meeting.
Thank you. Members, this is a candidate for suspense, so without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. Thank you, Senator Moorlach.